Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to Union Burger Bar and today's Express Sessions event, Animal Rescue Challenges on the East End. I know it's a topic that many of you are familiar with, if not living day to day, so thank you for coming. My name is Gavin Manu. I am the publisher of the Express News Group, which includes the Southampton Press, the East Hampton Press, the Sag Harbor Express, and the website 27east.com. We have this wonderful group of panelists who I will introduce in a moment, but there is always a list of people that I would like to thank. First of all the good folks here at Union Burger Bar. They're really wonderful hosts, and I just want to say thank you for having us. And I also want to thank a group of sponsors who support these events for us. We've been doing these now for 8 years, and a lot of these sponsors have been supporting us from day one. The presenting sponsor of the Express Sessions is Rocco Carrero Wealth Partners. It's a financial advisory firm. Their main office is right over on County Road 39, right here in Southampton. They also have a spot in East Hampton. We have some members of Rocco's team with us today. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. Also, our session partners are Advantage Title, which is a title firm with its main East End office in Riverhead, the Adam Miller Group, which is a law firm based in Bridgehampton, and our session leaders are Saybrook Capital, Zappola Construction, Dayton Ritz and Osborne Insurance, Sam Pebble Project Management, and the law firm of Toomey, Latham Shea, Kelly, Dubin, and Corderaro. So please join me in thanking all our sponsors. We also, of course, for many years now, have had our media partner, which is WLIW-FM. Mike and Kyle, these fine gentlemen, are here supporting us today. WLIW is an incredibly important part of our community. They're Long Island's only NPR station. They've got news, music, entertainment. It's really East End based, a lot of local content. They have a studio right down the road here in Southampton Village. And you can listen to WLIW on FM at 88.3, 88.7, or 96.9, depending on where you are in the county. And of course, on their radio, on their website at WLIW.org/radio. Thanks everyone at WLIW. And lastly, I do want to thank some members of our team who are here. Ellen Diogardi, our events quarter at the door. Lee Meyer, our photographer, Kaylin Riley, our reporter, and our editor-in-chief, Bill Sutton. These guys are going to report on the event. We provide coverage in next week's newspapers. We share the video online so that anybody who couldn't make it today can follow up on the event. So thank you all. So as for today's discussion, animal welfare organizations across the East End who serve both companion animals and wildlife are I guess they're operating in some difficult circumstances. Really, some might even say a growing crisis with rising costs, like a lot of businesses are facing, crowded shelters, limited foster networks, and population swings that we all deal with here. So, joining us to lead a conversation is this panel of experts, rescue leaders, frontline volunteers, and they're going to help us examine some of the issues that the organizations are facing. Joining us on the panel, which I'd like to introduce now, are Christina Barrett-Distefano, who is the founder and president of Amaryllis Farm Equine Rescue. Thank you, Christine. Kim Franchino, who is the senior director of shelter programs at Bideawee. Thank you, Kim. Don Lanham, who's the education director for Turtle Rescue of the Hamptons. Thank you, Don. Teri Meekins, who's the clinical director at the Southampton Animal Shelter Foundation. Thank you, Teri. Kathleen Mulcahy, who's the executive director of the Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Rescue Center. Thank you, Kathleen. And Kim Nichols, who's the executive director of the Animal Rescue Fund of the Hamptons. Thank you, Kim. So for any of you who are unfamiliar about the events, we also welcome some conversation with all of you. So Bill will have a microphone. He can bring it to your chair. Please introduce yourself. Please be brief if you can. And we want it to be a conversation between all of you and our panel. And of course, our moderator, who I would like to introduce, consulting editor of the Express News Group, Joe Shaw. Joe?
Now comes the ceremonial lowering of the microphone. Thank you, sir. All right, I want to get something out of the way right up front. I'm here because I was told there were going to be puppies, kittens, ponies, and small turtles for us to play with. And that's the only reason I'm here. So I'm a little disappointed. So I hate to kick this off on a bad note, but you're all very lovely, and I'll be happy to have the conversation with you instead. I got to tell you, I was thinking about this event on the way here, and I think one of the things that really sets the East End apart from a lot of communities. I mean, we have an amazing infrastructure when it comes to helping people. We have food banks and the retreat and lots of organizations that help people. But I'm not sure there's any region in the country that has the number of organizations that we have that are all about animals and helping animals. And it's not just about finding homes for animals, but it's also about helping wild animals. And so much of what we do is focused on the environment and the impact on the animals that we share the East End with. And I think that's something we really should be proud of. And I also think a room full of folks for an event like this really demonstrates something. I think that's a really good thing to build on. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about some of the issues you guys face, because I know that times are tough for everybody, and I suspect they're probably tough for you guys too in various ways. So let me start with Kim, and just tell me, how's your organization doing? What's what's the status of your organization right now compared to you've been around for a long time, so
yeah, we are going into our 51st year.
There you go.
And I know you're talking about a crisis, but I want to say things are going great at ARF. We did a major renovation just a few years ago and are back into the campus where we needed to address a lot of the issues that weren't being addressed. So we have a huge training center where we offer classes to both the public and adopters, and that's what's making a strategic difference in being able to keep families together. And I think that when you have the opportunity to look at what the real needs are within a community, then you can start having an impact. And I am thrilled to be here to talk about all these things with this panel, because we all work so closely together that none of us can do this without you or with each other.
That's awesome. Kathleen, we'll get to the big topic here in a second, which I think everybody's talking about. But I want to know how things are going in general with Evelyn Alexander. Bring the microphone in closer.
Well, things are wonderful with the Evelyn Alexander, other than the big topic of avian flu and the smaller topic of raccoon distemper and deer on the road, et cetera, et cetera. But we are very lucky. We have wonderful volunteers, many of whom are here today. These volunteers go out 24/7. We get a call at 11:30 at night, and Christina or Laura say, "I'll go," and as do many others. So we are so lucky in that regard. We have an excellent board, and we have very generous donors. So we're very lucky. We're going to do hopefully a big capital campaign coming up to rebuild our hospital and add a community center, because we would love to have groups be able to come to the center, meet our education animals, learn more about how to rescue animals or how to behave in a way that doesn't hurt animals in the first place, because that's really an awful lot of what we need, is the education of just slowing down on the roads and not using pesticides and, not getting rid of raccoons, but just encouraging them to leave and take their babies with them, rather than bringing in a pest control and have them take them 30 miles away and leave the babies behind. So we're very lucky.
Struggling through the difficult times at the moment, but doing okay.
Yep.
Good. Teri, I'm a big fan of your organization. I'm currently the cat dad to 4 shelter cats, and I think we've had about 8 over the years. Yeah. How's it going? The shelter just finished a big project, right?
We're finishing it. We're doing well. We're reopened to the public. We had a great event on Saturday night at the Southampton Inn, sponsoring us for our TNR program, which is trap, neuter, release of ferals. Obviously, with the wildlife, I know that's sometimes a thing. But it's good to decrease the population and keep the population to a minimum. But we're open and we're ready, and the front's going to be open soon. And, obviously we have a wellness clinic at the shelter, and we have a new trainer and a new training department. And I think we too are trying to keep animals in their homes if there's issues at the house with dogs. And, we're just trying to do the best possible, but I definitely think the shelter's in a very good place.
Good to hear. Don, I'm a big fan of the Turtle Rescue. I think you guys have gotten more and more of a presence over the last 20 years or so. I think everybody knows your organization now. I'm not sure when I first arrived out here on the East End, it was as well known as it is now. I think everybody knows, and everybody, I think, really pays attention to the needs, of turtles and to take care of them. How's the organization doing in general?
We're doing pretty good. We've been around since 2012 now.
Bring the microphone a little closer. I just want to make sure everybody can hear.
We've been around since 2012. We're doing okay. Like any nonprofit, we are struggling a little bit financially, and we always have a hard time finding new volunteers and retaining them. We're having a big fundraiser this summer. We're hoping to raise some funds and maybe purchase property and build an education center for turtle rescue also. And right now we're full to capacity as usual, and we've got turtles are coming out already basking, so soon we'll be over capacity.
This is the busy season coming up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no question. Kim, how's Bideawee doing?
Thanks for asking. So Bideawee, we've been very lucky to have great donors. We have great staff, great volunteers, but we definitely have noticed an uptick in medical cases in the last 2 years, which have, a lot of financial aspects to it. And we have seen a decrease in adoptions and an increase in surrender requests. A lot of it is from people who can no longer afford to keep their animals or can no longer afford the care that they need medically. So that has definitely been something we've noticed in the last couple years.
Christine, talk about Amaryllis a little bit. I want to know how you're doing, but I also, maybe it would help to explain a little bit about what Amaryllis does.
I feel like we're so apples and oranges here. It's very, very different. Amaryllis.
Bring the microphone in a little bit. I just want to make sure everybody can hear you.
Sorry. Amaryllis is in its 21st year of being horse rescue. What we do, we save horses from slaughter. Horses that finish their lives as, from typically an example run would be racehorse to show jumper. They don't stay sound to lesson horse to therapeutic to slaughter. You travel right down the line as a horse. Horses live very old. So, for a horse to live well into their 30s, not an issue. I've up to my ears in them. So keeping a horse with in their home, we can't duplicate that the way, you can with a dog and, or a cat or another animal. And the cost of a horse, the cost of their care is extraordinary. The space, their housing, it's such a completely different, and I don't want to hog the microphone. It's such a completely different conversation. I hesitated in coming in because we're kind of off kilter there. But bottom line, what's most important for the horses, and the horse rescue is strong, the horse rescue is solid. I have a zero tolerance for anything weird, drama, nothing. If the horses come first, this is about the horses, nothing but the horses. And so the horses are, secure as they are, but I have to say no to more horses every single week of my life. You'd never see me advertise, and it's nothing personal in any of the newspapers. God help them all. But it's because every time I put my head up and go, hi, we're here, what I get is not donations. What I get is more begging, please. Yeah. I got 2 threats to take horses. This is the Hamptons, after all. I got 2 actual threats. Take my horses.
What do you mean?
Believe me, it's the Hamptons. So, it's such a completely different scenario. There is no extra land. The land that it would be beautiful to look at with a run-in shed and an older horse grazing somewhere is being annihilated by, proposed townhouses or privet. This isn't farming. This isn't 59 years ago today. I was born here in the hospital a mile away. For 59 years, I have loved horses. I have protected horses. I have taken care of horses. This is very much a horse show community. And when the show is over, when the racetrack check isn't coming in anymore, the horses need a soft landing, someone to help them into their next career, but that next career is typically only a couple of years. And then again, they need a help again. We've had horses return now, which is part of the reason we're, we have 3 dozen to 50 horses at any given time. I just had one come back, a donkey, after 9.5 years. He was supposed to have a trust fund, live forever. People's lives change. They get sick, they have financial issues, they get divorced, people die. And all of a sudden the older animal is still there, has a whole life ahead of him. Where do they come back to? I've had horses that were adopted out for 12 years, 14 years, come back. I've had ponies adopted out 3 times, outlive their companions and come back. It's such a totally different, and I don't want to take time from the other rescues that we all know.
Let's take the time. I want to make sure I understand. So explain. So it's different in what ways? It's obviously it's more. You just have more of needs for everything for the animals. But how else is it different?
A great deal. We need more, but I want to thinking in the bigger picture. The biggest picture is that I was born here, and this land is absolutely critical. If we don't protect the land, there won't be horses. There will be, And at this point in my life, that I'm a little more passionate about what's going to happen. Every generation, as somebody that's going to stand up and do unbelievable things for animals, it takes one person. It's incredible what one person can accomplish. But the next ones that are coming up behind me, there was the space barely for me. The next generation's coming up. Tell me where the space is. I mean, I have it at the sanctuary. I have one little spot at the sanctuary, but I have to say no to horses constantly that can't get in. It's not fair. It's not fair, and right now we're slowly turning into this. When I first started in real estate a million years ago, we had these little cubicles, and now they're starting to look like that, only they're privet when you drive down the streets. This is not the Hamptons. This is not the country. I grew up in a time where the south of the highway with the little carriage horse barn, the ponies, and they'd be driving them down to the beach, and it was very much a horse culture. Kids now, I've had kids look at a goat and not know, was it a baby horse or a goat? We're separating as we're going on here. We're over industrializing absolutely everything, and the kids are being separated further and further from any kind of an animal. They don't understand. No, don't turn the turtle the other way when he's crossing the road. Be nice to the animals. They don't understand. Yes, everyone, these are all sentient beings. They have feelings. And death for a horse it's not euthanasia. It's typically like horrific. I'm not going to talk about it in here. I'm never asked to speak anywhere because I will talk about it. And, but for the horses, I mean, do you know how good a horse you have to be to make it through 20, 25 years of your life without killing somebody? At that point, you deserve somewhere to stand, somewhere to just stand and just be taken care of with no drama. That's all. Just peace and comfort are the most important things in the world for a horse.
So it's a really interesting point that development pressures
are incredible.
Really impact you. But I suspect that's true for several organizations. Kathleen, your organization's also impacted that way, right? And
100%, without a doubt. The deer have nowhere to go. That's why they run in front of you. The fox have nowhere to live. The turkeys, the wild turkeys. Growing up out here, we never saw wild turkeys, and now you can't drive without seeing wild turkeys. It's constant, and there's just nowhere for them to live.
And they go to me. They come to, I have horses on 5 farms, and on those 5 farms, I've got every manner of wildlife that there is, because they come, because this is where the only last open
You've become
space.
an oasis of sorts, right? Yeah. Don, I'm thinking you as well, right?
Yeah, not only is it loss of habitat, but it's lack of connectivity. You preserve areas, small areas here and there, but there's no way for the animals to migrate from one area to the other, and they have to cross roads or go through residential areas or
the
whatever.
turtles have to get under the deer fence. I've been on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's making it now.
We've been pushing towns. We've been trying to get them to build wildlife underpasses under some of the busier roads where there is more turtle fatalities and other animals. But so far, we haven't had any success.
I'm not sure everybody realizes that's one of the side effects of development, the impact it has on animals, no question.
And the pesticides to keep those developments green and beautiful, too.
Talk about that. How often do you run into that?
Every single day, yeah. We have most of our waterfowl that come in have lead poisoning. They also have botulism from pesticides. It's constant. We can test. That's one of the things we can treat, but we'll send a swan back out after lead poisoning. Same swan comes back in 8 months later.
And where's the lead poisoning come from?
The water, the fishing, mostly fishing, but also still the lead shot that's in there from years and years and years of shotguns.
And Don, how are turtles affected?
We have the same issue. We have a lot of turtles coming in with abscesses, and that's due to the chemicals and fertilizers. And what happens too, people use these chemicals on their lawns, and then when it rains, it all washes into the water where the turtles live. Because all the turtles on Long Island, native turtles, are all considered pond turtles. So they all rely on the water. And they have porous membrane skin, and they absorb the chemicals easily, so it affects them quite.
How significant is the use of pesticides and fertilizers just on residential properties? Let's forget about farms for a moment. But if we were able in some way to eliminate the use of pesticides and fertilizers on residential properties, what kind of impact would you guys say?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge, because it's also going into the groundwater that we're all
Of course,
using.
yeah.
In my talks, I always stress how America's obsession with manicured lawns is one of the biggest threats to wildlife and the environment.
But also companion animals. So if you think about it, it's your dog running around your backyard if you're using pesticide. Start thinking about that. It's it's a bigger picture that I think we would all love to talk about more to see changes.
Do you think people make that connection?
No.
Absolutely
But
not.
No.
one of the great things, we have a veterinarian on the board.
Yeah,
And
all right,
one of
here we
the
go.
things that we debate back and forth is we're seeing higher rates of cancer within dogs in particular. And it's like, are we better at diagnosing it
No.
or are the rates higher?
Yeah, no.
There you go.
No, the high rate of cancer is directly related to stuff in the environment. And on Long Island, just like we have a high rate of breast cancer, we have a high rate of canine cancer. And obviously most dogs are more outside than cats. So I feel like that is a direct correlation to all the stuff we're putting into the environment. Whether it's, and people use what they think is natural. And then when you look at the ingredients, and I have this conversation with many clients, it's not natural and it's not good for the environment.
Explain that. Go a little bit more in depth on that.
The ingredients, they think, it doesn't have like DEET in it or, preen or whatever. But when you look at the ingredients, it's still stuff you wouldn't want to be drinking, So it's really, Suzanne Ruggles, who was on the wildlife board for years with me, would say, you shouldn't put any of that stuff down and you should let your leaves just stay and they will become natural mulch, but no one wants to do that. Because everyone wants, like what we're saying, to have these manicured lawns, and it's the Hamptons, so
Yeah, but it
lifestyles
starts with
of the rich and famous,
Needs to be a whole-
insects live in the leaves.
Yeah.
They survive through the winter because you leave your leaves.
Yeah.
The less leaves left, the less insects make it to the next year.
There really needs to be an entire change of culture, doesn't there?
Total.
I wanted to lead a campaign a couple of years ago called "Brown is Beautiful" with your lawns. That instead of watering and embrace the fact that your lawn may not look perfect because that's a little more healthy. But I think it's a message that can't get out too much to people. I don't think people really understand the damage that's being done.
No.
Let me switch gears for a second. Let's talk about the big topic. So avian flu has become a real crisis in this region.
Real crisis.
Talk about it. How significantly are you seeing the impact of that here?
I think I've somehow called the police on my phone, so excuse me 1 second.
You've got what now? I missed that. What was that?
She called 911 by accident.
A real crisis. It's a crisis.
It's a crisis.
Sorry about that.
Okay, well, that's a first.
There we go.
That is a first for an Express Sessions event, yes.
So avian flu has been with us for a number of years out here. In a small way, we've lost raptors, we've lost birds here and there. Obviously, we've had major commercial issues. The duck farm with 100,000 ducks, the pheasant place in Sag Harbor, etc. This year, it is affecting the community. It's not a commercial thing, it's a community thing. We believe what's happened was because of the deep freeze, the ponds froze and down to very little bits of water. And all the geese gathered together very tightly in what little running water there was. And this avian flu just spread. Avian flu is highly pathogenic. It is pretty much certain death if a goose or swan gets it. For some reason, some ducks can get it and still live, but most geese cannot.
The ducks can spread it while they have it as well, right?
They can spread it. And it spreads very easily. It's a shedding disease. So when you're that close together, it's just going right across the entire flock. We get easily 5 calls a day, if not more, about, Ryan's on the phone on the weekends. Probably the weekends we get 10 to 20 calls.
I'd say probably closer to 25 most days.
And we've just seen in East Hampton, they had a major cleanup of hundreds of geese that died at the pond.
679 at Georgia Pond alone.
Mm-hmm.
We have pictures of 200 on the Peconic over on the North Fork. It is heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking for the dead ones. It's heartbreaking for the living ones because they're just going in circles. Christine picked one up today that was doing forward rolls. Imagine a goose just doing somersaults because this is a neurological disease. It is horrible, horrible, horrible. And we don't, we hope it's going to get better. Usually as the weather gets warm, it does get better. But there are so many dead animals out there that we don't know that it will. If I can tell everyone one thing, keep your dogs on a leash. Do not let your dogs run on the beach. Don't let your dogs near these dead geese. Don't you go near these dead geese either. It is, it's very contagious for animals, for mammals. Hopefully it's not as contagious in this scenario, but it can be. So please, everyone be careful. Don't pick up dead animals. We're still trying to work with the DEC, with the towns on how to dispose of these dead animals because there is no easy answer.
Let me drill down a little bit on that. So, is there a danger for dogs and cats? First of all,
yes,
they can also get sick from the avian flu.
We were at a wildlife conference 2 weeks ago in Louisiana, and a woman was working on a farm that had the avian flu. Obviously, a much more concentrated than 1 or 2 geese, but she walked into her house with her shoes on. Her cats licked her shoes, and her cats got avian flu. It's that easy to transfer. So please don't go near the geese.
Kim, did you have something?
I was going to say, for those of us who have dogs and they run on the beach, because we're thrilled this time of year, we have access to it. That's the first place they're going to run to is to a dead animal.
Yep.
So she's absolutely right. As hard as it is for those of us who want our dogs to run, keep them on a leash. But it's not just avian flu. And so there is distemper within the raccoons. There is panleukopenia that is going to the cats, and it's deadly to them. So the important part for people who have companion animals is to make sure that they're vaccinated. And both of us run clinics. Every Monday, we have low-cost vaccines. It's really easy to get in and keep your animal vaccinated, and that's how we're going to stop the spread of this. And I talk to a lot of people whose cats are only inside, but again, if your cat gets out, if something happens, so just stay up to date and on top of it, and use the easy access that we're providing to you.
Kim Franchino, is that also, what's been your experience? Have you seen this when you're dealing with animals coming in? And
our medical team has talked about it. We haven't had any cases come into us in this last year, but we've been pretty vigilant about it too, and we've had to educate adopters not to let their dogs out loose, not to stay away from birds, and basically everything that they're saying, keep your animals vaccinated.
Dr. Meekins, is this in your wheelhouse?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. I just didn't want to put you on the spot if it wasn't. What's the risk to humans?
Well, humans can get, definitely, if you're supposed to be very safe. I picked up a dead swan. Well, it was dying, actually, but I don't think it was avian flu because it was hit by a car and had a broken wing. But then I started to think maybe it was exposed to flu. That's why it got hit by a car. It didn't make it overnight, and he didn't have any respiratory illness, but you have to obviously take total precaution, and it does not live on the clothes long, but that's why you wipe everything off. Obviously, with birds, it's not treatable. It's a death sentence. But with animals, if you catch it soon enough, and obviously you treat, you could potentially get them back. They're not going to, with birds, there's no treatment, really.
Let me ask you, too, Kathleen mentioned the commercial operation with the duck farm that had the bird flu, and we had the incident on the pheasant farm in Noyak. Are those related at all to this? Did that lead to this in some way, or is this a completely different strain and probably had nothing to do with that? I'm wondering if it made this region more vulnerable in some sense to a new strain that came up, or is that not the case?
I believe, from what we believe, it is the same strain. It is the HPAI 5.
Yeah.
I don't even have the numbers anymore in my head, but
the water thing.
It's all over. I mean, we were again in this conference in Louisiana. It's across the country. So I don't think we are more susceptible, but we are seeing it because of the freeze. Yeah. New Jersey is seeing a lot of it as well at the moment because of the freeze. So I don't think that the duck farm, but it's here.
Got it. And I wanted to ask you, in dealing with the animals that come in, you had sent a fundraising letter out just this week, I believe.
Yes.
What are the new steps that you're taking to protect your staff when you're dealing with animals that come in that may have been infected?
So we, every year with avian flu, we do boot baths. We have 11 raptors who are education animals for us. And we obviously have to be very careful between the hospital and the education animals. So anyone who goes out to the education animals and has to put their feet in a boot bath to go into the hospital and come out of the hospital, boot bath again into the education cages. We also are having our volunteers bring a bird and not bring it into the hospital. We go out to the car, we examine it. If we have any belief that any suspicion, it goes to a different building in the back. We're using a greenhouse at the moment as a isolation chamber, and we are having to euthanize out there. One of the hard things is that the DEC has, actually the Board of Health has decided that wildlife rehabilitators cannot euthanize quickly with injection. We can only euthanize by oxygen.
And the thinking there is that you don't want to risk
They don't want us to have the ketamine and the euthanol. They want only a vet to have access to that.
Oh, okay.
So it is much harder for us to euthanize at this point.
So is that across the board? That's not related to bird flu. That's
across the board.
I
That's
see.
across the board. But it does mean that everything takes much longer and is much slower, and it just is more suffering for the animals, less humane.
What year did they start that? That's a newer thing.
Started 3 years ago. We got a 3-year extension.
Yeah.
Our extension ended in September. Yeah.
As a veterinarian, how does that?
No, it's repulsive. It's New York State being like ridiculous.
What is the thinking there? What's the?
They don't want them to have access to, and they don't need ketamine. They used to use xylazine, which is not. All of a sudden, New York State thinks xylazine, which is a drug to sedate, is a street drug. I've never heard of anybody using it on the street. Ketamine, yes, Special K, but they used to have all access, and we used to give actually wildlife classes to the volunteers to show them how to administer xylazine so they could sedate the animal, like for the deer, before the cops came to shoot the deer, they'd be sedated. Now, that's why you're getting all these calls from the cops who have her number on speed dial, and so they have to be shot. And it's inhumane, and people should write to the governor. I don't know why she changed it. Hochul changed it specifically, and it just doesn't seem fair for the animals.
Again,
It's not the right thing for the animals.
Seems like something the public should
Yeah.
be aware of, and something they should talk about.
Yeah.
I want to open this conversation up to the audience. If you have something to question or a comment, if you could raise your hand. We have Bill Sutton, who's going to come around with the microphone. Before we leave this topic, maybe if you've got something related to bird flu. I think we have someone over here.
I have a question.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
He's coming. He's coming over.
I have a dog.
Hang on. He's coming with the microphone. I want to make sure you have the microphone before you ask the question. I'll sing till he gets here.
We don't want that. I'm hurrying up.
Yeah, hurry up.
I have a dog that I love walking on the beach.
Can you
at this
introduce yourself, please, ma'am?
time of year?
Can you
Introduce
introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I'm Cynthia Battaglia,
Thank
and
you.
I live in Springs.
Thank you.
And so we have our beach that we're free to roam around, and it's her happiest time ever. I have not let her go on the beach. I don't let her go anywhere without a leash other than my yard. But I see all these loose dogs running on the beach that I am walking on the road around Maidstone. There's no signs. I stop people and I say, do not go on the beach with your dog. And they go, what are you talking about? People are not aware that this is going. And I would think there should be a sign at every path to the beach. And every town should maybe be responsible for that. And why is that not happening?
I think that's a great idea. I mean, we're all posting to social media, we're sending warnings out, we're including it in our emails, but we need your help in getting that word out. And it's important. People don't realize it. And we have a lot of people that come by ARF and they picked up a dead bird on the beach and they have it in the car.
With their dog.
And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
let's talk. So the more we can help educate people, hopefully we could put an end to this.
Well, then I could call East Hampton Town and ask them to put up a sign at each beach.
The trustees actually have made signs and are putting them up in
They
East
are?
Hampton.
Okay.
Slowly but surely. It's not an easy,
One more question I have about this bird flu. I am a friend of Del Cullum, who was a big animal advocate and warden out here, whatever. And his thought about how they're getting rid of these birds is not a great way of going about it. Plastic bags and burying them in the sand is what I've heard. But they bury them. And so what happens when a dog digs them up or they don't disintegrate? I mean, why aren't the towns, the health department, the DEC being more responsible about this? I guess you all are in agreement.
Our license comes from the DEC.
Dr. Meekins, in a perfect world, what's the best way to deal with this?
I hate to say it. They should be burnt. Yeah.
And why don't they? Is it more expensive too? I mean, that was my thought. Like, why aren't they doing it the right way? What do
I mean, I just feel like the DEC You help me out here.
Is failing.
I got nothing.
There are not a lot of
I can
crematoriums.
say it maybe
I don't have a
They're
license
not-
from them,
there's
so I can
easy
say,
access.
I feel like they are. Yeah.
Is it fair to say generally the government hasn't really responded effectively to this yet? Like maybe they're a little behind in doing what needs to be done to address this. I mean, it's been moving fairly quickly to give them a little cover here, but there are things that state, county, and local government maybe could be doing to address it a little more aggressively. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yes. DEC is very short-staffed. The towns are very short-staffed. This did come out of the blue. And there are not easy answers. What they did at the duck farm was they composted them. I don't know if there's a way we can use those sheds that they used at the duck farm to get geese to. But yeah,
Who do you
the
talk,
pictures.
Who do you talk to? Who does a person like me go to and make a complaint or make a suggestion or?
In East Hampton, you talk to the trustees. In Southampton, you can talk to the trustees. Shelter Island is picking them up and burning them. They're already doing that. And Southold is still discussing what they're going to do.
I think just talking about it here helps too, because I think it does bring some attention to it. So before we leave the topic,
Can I just add a little
Oh,
bit
absolutely,
to that?
Kim, go ahead.
I just spent the last 3 days in Albany. So your legislators they have a rescue dog, one has 2 rescue cats. They are on top of legislation helping with companion animals. So I would call your legislators because their hearts are in the right place. It's about awareness because everyone is bringing them every day. There's 50 issues that are coming to them. So I would pick up the phone and try and bring it up in their attention.
Dr. Meekins, before we leave the topic then, let's give people the list of things they need to know about this. So dogs should not be running loose on the beaches right now.
No, they shouldn't anyway, because there's always a problem when 2 dogs end up loose on the beach.
And I guess that's true of cats should not be going outside anyway, but in particular now is not a good time for cats to be going outside.
Definitely.
And if you come upon a bird that is either acting as if it's ill or is dead, what should you do?
Probably call wildlife and let them deal with it. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Or triple bag it. I mean, I didn't call wildlife. Obviously, I find things all the time, but they have to be at least double or triple bagged. Wear gloves. Obviously, you're not going to be touching like a half deceased animal without, with a bird or with a wildlife. Obviously, you're going to always use gloves and caution. Hopefully.
So actually,
So
to Teri's point,
call us dead. Don't call us, please.
don't call
Triple
for
bag
dead
it.
animals.
Bag,
but
put it- yeah.
when the animal's dead, be very careful how you handle
Yes,
it,
yes.
and use gloves, double bag, triple
Wash
bag.
your hands, obviously.
Can they just be disposed of in?
Once they're triple bagged,
You can just put them in the garbage.
Your own garbage, just dump, etc.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Literally just happened to me 2 days ago.
I'm sorry. Wait, hang on. Let me get you the microphone. We'll come back. We'll come. Yeah, I know, but we need the microphone for the radio and the video. That's okay. Introduce yourself, please.
I am Myers Bartlett, and I work at UBB, and I live in Southampton, in Shinnecock. 2 days ago, my 1-year-old puppy, I was walking. She was on a slightly longer lead, and she came right back with a bird in her mouth who was dead. And I said, drop. She dropped it immediately, thank God. So I put it off to the side like normally I bless them. A plastic bag, but I did leave it. I can go and get it. I know where it is. But I said to my neighbor, there was a dead bird in your yard. And he said, yeah, I saw one yesterday. So now I'm on hyper alert now. But if the bird was in my dog's mouth, even for
Yeah, most likely, it's usually 48 to 72 hours. What day was this?
Monday.
So, most likely, did you rinse out her mouth or do anything like that?
'cause it
That would
didn't
be what I would tell people to do.
Literally, it didn't cross my mind.
And you don't know
until
for
after.
sure it was a
a
small
little
bird.
small
Yeah.
sparrow.
So most
Yeah,
likely
little
it
baby.
was not that.
Okay.
That was
Oh,
probably a
all right.
feline
But on
murder.
the beach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Explain that. If it's the smaller birds are
The
less.
smaller
affected.
birds aren't really getting it, and usually that's more of a
Why is that? Is that just because of the difference in behavior? They don't gather together as much. Is that what
Yep.
it is? Okay. Sorry for the delay, sir. If you could introduce yourself.
My name is Mike McLean. I just a question about avian flu, geese, and their feces. most dogs seem to like to eat it like candy. And I'm assuming that that's as contaminated as any other contact with them.
I would assume so, yes. I would go under that assumption for safekeeping, yeah.
So no more candy.
No more candy for them.
Thank you.
You sure?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm Joanne McLean. I'm just wondering if you see this as self-limiting, or because we're in the spring now, will a lot more birds be coming back and it will continue because we'll have a larger population?
We hope not. It traditionally it has gone away as the weather gets warmer. So we are just hoping that that's the case. We did see a falcon yesterday with it. So unfortunately, because these dead animals have been left out on the beach, eagles, other raptors are going to the dead animals. So we may see a set of those still to come. But we're hoping that will be the end of it. But
Dr. Meekins, is there like an end game here?
Well, as the warmer weather comes, it usually just dissipates.
Okay.
So.
And is there a risk it can come back then again next year?
Definitely.
Same problems.
Yeah.
So
It tends to return every year about this time when the waterfowl migrate down here because they're more gregarious and they gather together in flocks. So that tends to increase it. And then when they leave in the spring, it tends to drop back down because the birds that come in here are more solitary.
And Don, are any other marine animals affected by this or no?
No.
That's
Not
good.
yet.
Okay.
Can I bring up another, as
Absolutely.
this dissipates, a little problem that starts rising in the spring?
Sure.
It's called kitten season. So we have an incredibly well-managed feral population out here, and that's years and years of work with the TNR program. But there are feral cats out there, and the important thing is to get them spayed and neutered, get them vaccinated so they stay safe. But we could use your help with that. So if you do see kittens or you do see stray cats, you're looking for a notched ear. If you're not seeing us, give either of us a call or Bideawee a call, and we are on it. We are here to help. So we want to keep the feline population contained.
Can you talk about what measures are taken to do that now? What is the infrastructure for dealing with the feral cats?
So at ARF, we have 32 years of Operation Cat where we've been doing TNR, but what
TNR,
we do, trap, neuter, and release. So what we do is we exchange food for information on where these colonies are. So these colonies are managed by volunteers who are incredibly dedicated, and they take care of these cats. These are wild animals. These are not animals that are going into a home. They need to live outside. If there's babies, then we tend to socialize them, and then we can adopt them out. But what we do is, if you'll let us map where this colony is, you let us spay and neuter, we'll give you food to help manage this colony. And that's worked exceptionally well for us.
How many people, how many volunteers do you have that do that? Just ballpark. How many people take advantage of that program?
Quite a few. We go through 2 pallets of dry food every 2 weeks.
Wow. And Kim? Do you guys have a similar program?
We do. We have something called the Feral Cat Initiative. It's a little more active it is active in Long Island, but more in New York City. And we partner with local rescuers who are also helping to manage community cats. We do a similar program with trap, neuter, release in our Montauk location space. We'll have pop-ups where we can do mass TNR. And we also try to educate the public on how to help manage community cats, and we also do food giveaways as well.
And Teri, how about the Southampton shelter?
Oh yeah, we have a huge program. I started with ARF doing the Operation Cat when they started that 22 years ago, but we always did it also at the shelter. We used to actually be a satellite for ARF until we developed our own AdvoCap program, and that's what our benefit was on Saturday for that program. We accept phone calls, and we get phone calls from a lot of people, and then we send somebody, whether it's Tracy who works at the shelter, or we have a few volunteers that go to different areas, and we try to get it before it starts. Like right now, we're working on a couple of new colonies that just appeared. They do not have a clipped ear. It's the left ear that should be clipped. and we want to get it before they're pregnant or having babies.
Do we have any idea whether the population of feral cats has gone up or down in the last 10 years, 20 years? Is there any way to document that?
I feel like it's definitely gone down.
Because of these programs?
Yes.
Is that fair? You guys have seen the same thing?
Definitely. I tell this story. When I first started at ARF 3 years ago, I got a call from the Shelter Island where they had a colony of ferals that was exceptionally well managed. The last one died of old age. And so the guys who work in the transfer station really wanted to bring in more because it helps with keeping rodents out of the dump. But they weren't ready for that yet. So we're ready to repopulate when they're ready to take on their next feral colony. But these volunteers take exceptional care of these animals. They have heated homes. They have access to water. They are well fed. Most of them have names.
Is there a downside to the feral cats being, do they have a negative impact as well in some ways, right? Talk about that.
They do. And so they're hunters. They're not good for wildlife. We have a lot of conversations about that. And our hope is that a lot of these feral colonies wouldn't exist over time because we can, if there are babies, then we can get them adopted and then they'll be raised in a home. But that doesn't always happen. And then we find people who will dump a cat into a colony, which is one of the worst things you can do. Please call your local shelter. There's no questions. We will take the animal. But dumping a cat into a wildcat colony is cruel. They'll get beat up.
Okay. Anybody from the audience over here?
My name is Susan Barbieri, and I do love cats. I have a friend who has some feral cats in her yard, and she said all of the mice disappeared. So I don't like rodents. So I'm just wondering if there's a balance that's being worked on, how many you're going to destroy.
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like feral cats are all bad. I mean, they do have there are some positives, right? Yes?
I'm a big cat fan, so I think there's lots of positives. I think they outweigh them. But I also understand, if I was to bring up piping plover, there are, cats are songbirds. The songbirds, yes. They are natural predators. So can we strike a balance? Yeah, I think we can. And the feral population is not disappearing anytime soon.
We're spaying and neuter them. We're not going to, no one's going to be put to sleep, at least not by me. I don't know about anybody else. I don't think anybody else here. It has to be a happy balance. Both have to exist.
And it's worth saying, all 4 of my cats came from feral colonies. So they can be adopted out. As you said, when they're kittens, they can be rescued and adopted out. So that's another potential solution. Anybody else? Over here.
You just mentioned songbirds. So I stopped feeding the birds in my yard because of the avian flu. Is that something I should or should not do?
What we're suggesting is that instead of using bird feeders, you just spread the food across your backyard so that, again, they're not close together, not congregating. Just spread it out. Yeah. And that is the best thing that you can do. If you have a bird bath, clean it regularly with a little bit of bleach and water, and then make sure you clean it out, refresh it and rinse it well enough that it's just water. And take the bird feeders in, clean them with 30% bleach, water, and don't hang them up until it's good and warm out.
And then don't let my dog out in the backyard where I feed them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually want to acknowledge Joe Rappaport in our audience, who's sort of a celebrity in the animal protection community. I think she deserves a round of applause. So happy to give you the microphone. I was actually just gonna see if you had something
Oh, yeah,
to
getting
contribute.
well, on the avian flu. And my question is for you, Christine, being a pet parent to not only several rescue dogs, I have many horses. Can't put them on a leash. Do I have to worry about them grazing in the pastures if these birds are anywhere near my horses?
And I was waiting for my chance to ask that very question because Valentine daisies up in a field on Deerfield, and all of a sudden the geese started to land there. They don't normally, but they have been, and so I wondered about the geese candy and, the field, and I wondered about how transmissible it is to the horses.
Right.
And turkeys, we could be a turkey rescue because if there's no shortage of turkeys on Long Island, I have them. They're with us. Since Thanksgiving, they've been with us. So, and I wondered about that in the fields because my horses are basically out 24/7. They go in and out of their houses as they choose.
Mine too, yeah.
Do we know if avian flu is transmissible to horses?
That's what
Is
it to horses?
It is spreadable to mammals, but I've not heard it to horses necessarily.
Oh, good.
But cows have, dairy cows.
There's enough that we battle with the ticks, with limes, with different tick things, EPM, because again, the wildlife coming in at us, Long Island has had a surge. When I was a kid, we didn't even know what EPM was.
And I would imagine you mentioned turkeys. I would imagine turkeys would certainly be at risk.
I have not seen, and I live on the roads between the farms, nonstop. I can tell you where there are dead geese out in the fields that have been there. I have not seen a turkey down yet. I definitely saw a fox that hasn't looked too healthy. I see everything. I haven't seen a turkey, but the geese in the field was what brought that question to mind. But again, I'm looking at, there are healthy geese that are hanging out at Deerfield. They're a little different from what's out in East Hampton. And like the mallards, I know that the route that they follow, because some of my landlords have, a little pond to another little pond to another, and I'm like, I know that duck. So, I see a lot, but I will definitely holler the first sign of anything.
Jill, can you put into context when I opened my remarks with this region being really kind of special? You see a lot of communities and how they deal with animals. How does this region, how does it compare to other places in the United States?
Well, I think that people out here are so passionate about their animals, especially rescue. And I'm so proud to be part of this community that has so many wonderful rescue organizations. And I've worked with all of you at length, and people really do care so deeply. And it really is so upsetting to me because I've noticed since COVID, just an incredible amount of animals being given up again and, just dumped. And the situation is really, as far as I'm seeing it, pretty dire again. And rescue is, in a bad situation right now. So again, it's great to hear that our rescue groups out here are doing well, but it's a frightening situation. And I'm so glad what you talked about, Christine, the horse situation. They're being, in other parts of the country, they're being turned out alongside the road, literally just let loose and hoping someone will pick them up. And what people need to understand is you have to have in your will provisions for your animals. People don't think about that. And, they pass on and the animals end up in the shelters. And it's really very scary that they don't take, those thoughts into consideration like they would for their children, because they are our children. We all know that here. But it's the horse situation is really frightening right now. And I know what you're experiencing because I hear it from so many of my friends. They just are getting inundated with calls. And if they don't take the animal in, they say, fine, we'll just turn them out, we'll kill them.
And in our area, which is incredibly known for the philanthropy and our celebrities, all of our celebrities, all of them, who's in this room? The same one that has done the Today Show interview with me, has done, has helped every single one of our organizations. I remember the Southampton ambulance fund. I mean, Jill is always putting out somewhere in a gigantic, because Jill is just a giant heart on, shoes. So
size 10, thank you.
But it's that, so there's a big difference in activists and talkers. Talkers are not always activists. Jill is the real deal.
Oh, sweet.
You need more.
some, okay, like you'll say it better than me. I'm not a good speaker.
You're saying just fine.
I get in trouble because I say what I think. But that's a fact.
Yeah.
And going back 20 years, that's a fact. So there are very few that, and just being in a position that can actually cause incredible change and has repeatedly, I mean, it's got to get tiring being the only one.
Joe, let me ask you, maybe you can speak to this. If people out there are hearing all this and they want to help, there's obviously so many ways they can help, right? Talk about some of the different ways people can help if they want to. Like, it's not just about sending a check. It's not just, I mean, there's so many things they can do. Talk about that.
Well, everybody thinks out here, oh, everyone has so much money. Why aren't they writing the checks? Yes, that's a wonderful thing. And we all need the money to help these animals. But literally, you can just walk in, and I know everybody here would be so receptive to volunteers, coming in to help. I know that, at the shelters, just if you go in, especially on holidays, and you say, can I help with the animals? Can I walk a dog? And fostering, to me, that's the greatest work you could do. That's God's work, because you're the mediator, I like to say, between hell and heaven. You're the one that takes that animal, gives it a temporary home till they can find their next forever home. And fosters are so needed right now because, otherwise they're in the shelter just waiting. And if they could just have that loving experience. And I tell people all the time, who doesn't adore puppies? We all love puppies and kittens, but please think older. I am all about the seniors and the special needs and the bully breeds. So I call them the underdogs. And at Southampton Animal Shelter, my last rescue, which was in May, was a, Teri, 14-year-old, we think, blind, deaf Doxy, who has been my lifeline. He has just done so much for me. He's had a very serious health challenge. He almost passed in November. He was on oxygen and everything else. And he's still not great, but he's come back. And he just keeps coming back. And I tell people, look at this dog. And, they counted him out so many times, and he's added life to me. So I just wish people would get involved, foster, donate. Just walk into your local shelter, call Wildlife Rescue, say, how can I help? Because every little bit makes a huge difference in an animal's life. And try to take the ones that not everybody wants. Please look at, little older, because those are the ones that are left languishing in our shelters.
Thank you, Jill. And I think everybody in the room says thank you for everything you do. I really appreciate that.
I love my Nathan.
Do we have a bid from somebody?
No, we. As a big horse fan, I looked up the avian influenza. I did a little AI dive for whatever that's worth, and it says avian influenza is generally considered to have a very low risk of transmission to horses, and there are no confirmed cases of horses catching bird flu under natural circumstances. Horses are highly resistant, though they may rarely experience asymptomatic mild infections. So that's what AI says.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Ellen. That's helpful. So let's talk about some of the other challenges that your organizations face. If we could, Dawn, let's talk about the turtle rescue. If one thing could be done to help your organization, whether it's from the community or from the government or whatever, what's something that could really help the turtle rescue organization right now?
Well, I know right now we're lacking volunteers. They're always looking for volunteers.
You have a lack of volunteers?
Yes.
That actually surprises me, because I would think that it would be a real appealing organization and maybe it's just a matter of people not being all that aware that you're looking for volunteers.
That could be, yes.
So what do the volunteers do for your organization?
Well, we have volunteers that transport and release for us, and we also need people to work in the facility, doing typical cleaning enclosures and preparing food, feeding the animals. They can help out the vet techs, and learn how to administer medications and stuff like that. And there's always laundry and dishes that need to be done, and gardening in the outside. We have an outdoor facility, a big sanctuary in the back, and it's always in need of some kind of maintenance.
Do you have any kind of a fostering program? Like something where people take care of animals that are like maybe you help nursing them back down?
No, we don't. But to get to the topic of people not including in their wills pets. As you know, turtles live an awful long time. They often outlive the owners, so we do get a lot of surrendered pets. And for a while, we were keeping them in our sanctuary. A couple of them we were using as animal ambassadors, but because we're so full to capacity, we can no longer do that. So now when people surrender a pet to us, we normally have to try and find a home for it because we can't keep it.
I seem to remember us doing a story not too long ago about a family in Noyak that had helped. They released a turtle that they had helped bring back, but I could be misremembering. It's been a while. Okay. That's why I asked about the fostering. Hey.
We're in Jamesport, right on Manor Lane.
You're based in Jamesport, but you operate all over the East End, right?
We're the only turtle-specific rescue on Long Island and possibly all of New York.
And we should at some point talk about cold stun turtles and what people should do when they see maybe now's a good chance to do that.
Okay, cold stun turtles are sea turtles. They're not considered native. We don't rescue them or rehab them because mainly we don't have the facilities. But New York Marine Rescue handles that, and we refer people in New York Marine Rescue. In my education course, I do teach about cold stun. I tell people to call New York Marine Rescue, and they'll give you instructions what to do if you find a cold stun turtle. Normally, they just want you to stay with it until they can get a volunteer that they've trained out there to respond so that they can easily find the turtle. Or if you can't stay, they'll ask you to mark it somehow. And I always tell people that, you hear the words cold stunned, you might assume that, I should pick this turtle up and put it in my car and blast the heat because that'll help it. And I always tell people it's the worst thing you can do. Temperature has to be raised very slowly, otherwise you can cause internal damage to the animal.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Lorraine, and I have two questions, one for Christine specifically and one for the panel in general. For Christine, I know you have space issues. I also know Amaryllis well. How long is a horse generally with you from the time it comes in to either getting adopted out or living its life with you? How long do you generally have them? Because obviously as a horse is there, you can't bring in another horse until the horse moves on. And my second for the whole panel, all of you, what difference would it make with regards to pesticides and fertilizers if people actually landscape their yards with native plants and grasses?
So Christine, you want to field the question first?
Okay. What I found over the years are horses, and I...
You want to pull the microphone a little closer, Christine? You want to pull the microphone a little closer? I just want to make sure people can hear you.
How about now?
That's
Good?
okay.
Okay. Over the years, what I found is injuries that come in, 18 to 24 months, can absolutely do miracles. Absolute miracles. Lesson horses, show horses, your typical 3 months off, 6 months off, and then returning to work will usually end up with an unsound horse pretty quickly thereafter. So in the horses, now I can take a local show horse, and I'm also talking about a slaughter save that is a body scale of 2 and 24 years old, like Jake, one of my last rescues. Now, he hit 24 months before we finally got through all his baggage that he had to deal with, from all sorts of arthritis, injuries, issues, ulcers from hell. But your typical horse, race horses come in with the broken sesamoids, different issues. If you don't give the body enough time, they don't hold up. If I give it the 1.5 and 2 years and let them go, they're good. They're good to go at that point. And then there's not an issue. But it depends on the discipline. Are they jumping? With the lack of land out here, turnout for horses in the show barns is you're lucky if they're getting an hour or two a day out. A natural horse is out, walking around. They'd be walking 17 miles a day. They'd be eating, sleeping. They sleep in 15-minute intervals, total in about 4 hours a day. So you're talking about a moving, grazing horse that's genetically disposed to all kinds of issues if they're locked in a 10 by 10 closet all day long to make sure that the lawn looks very green and pretty, again, being the Hamptons. So you have, and to leave the stall and go into and I'm not anti-discipline. I'm pro horse. Whatever you want to do, I want to see horses. I'm going to always vote for the horses having jobs. Always across the board, horses need jobs. Horses need a life like us. We don't always have the job we want, whatever, but you need the job to survive in this world, or you're in trouble. And they find that out as they get older. So you're usually talking a couple years. Sometimes if a horse comes in, is not going to be riding, a rideable horse, they might go out as a companion. They can go out. I mean, I think Aladdin went out in a week and a half, and he was really glad because we had pigs at the time, and he'd never seen them, and he was very afraid of them till he left. And he still lives the epic life up in Lloyd Harbor. But, and this is 15 years later. But again, like I said, Prince came in after 14 years of living a great life, very fancy show horse, because they get forgotten about. And out they go. And but again, his farm got sold, and I actually hold a associate broker's license at Nest Seekers, and I was searching for a client, and I came across his field with a $13 million house on it now. And I had horses there when I was a kid. Actually started Amaryllis Farm there technically in 1989. And it's just, I'm going to keep circling back to the land no matter what you ask me. I'm going to keep going. Like, all of this information is on. Go to amaryllisfarm.com. It's all on there. But the bigger picture that I'm really worried about are the things up in front of the town board right now. There's one proposed, and of course I'm going to vote for the gay horses across the board. But it is right across the street from the main sanctuary. There is a subdivision. My horses they've got everything but their hard hats on while they're watching it be done. 3 houses along one side of me. And we're getting ready for the 6 days a week that I seriously promise you that the landscapers work the other side of our property on those privet hedges. 12 acres, 15 acres, privet hedge. It is constantly being sprayed with I don't know what, trimmed, and the blowy thing, and it's nonstop. My horses are absolutely bomb-proofed. I mean, this horses in New York City must have nothing on them at this point. So, some horses I'll have for 20 years. I have one right now for 20 years. He was adopted in-house, and then they moved away actually to England, and he just stayed and was overlooked repeatedly. And now he's 25 already, and he's still with me. But I have some horses that go out and then they come back, and they go out and they come back. So I never know what's coming back. But the whole idea was to do a revolving door where I take the horse, rehab the horse, get them a home forever, call it a forever home, and be happy with my life. And that never happened. That never happened. Horses come back, people change, and it's just, you need to be devoted and have zero other life. Zero, nothing. There's not, and you'll know that if you've seen me in the truck, you know where I am. At all times, you'll know where I am with the horses. And if I wasn't with my horses, I'd be with your horses. I would be taking care of somebody's horses. That's my life. My daughter, Rachel, she just kind of got born into it and trapped there. So she's been probably trying to get out ever since. But from the time she was 9, she seriously thinks the horses are her, family. So this is what we do all the time. So horses can come in and be rehabilitated and go out. But for the most part, at this point, we now call it sanctuary because there are so many very, very elderly. This winter, we had to say goodbye to my 36-year-old Applejack, my 36-year-old quarter horse, who, as the vet is always saying, they are always fat, healthy, smiley, and that's how you should meet Jesus in the end. You want comfort, you want to live really well, and you want to die well. And everybody who has worked for decades with the public should be able to have that end. We're the Hamptons. If we don't raise the bar about how animals are treated, where else in the country is that going to happen? And if we slip a little bit, we create a landslide because we are the Hamptons. Everybody looks at us. We are the Hamptons. And I used to laugh about it because I was born here. This is the country, and why is it called the Hamptons? Well, now I'm going to say, well, it is the Hamptons because you do have spectacular care happening in backyards, but not all of them. And they should be. It's a simple, not necessarily simple, it's doable. It's always doable to take extreme care of those that are put in your responsibility, wheelhouse there. And that to the end. But we need to raise the bar. And the pesticide things that are being sprayed on the hedges, I always wonder about that because I'm breathing them too. I'm there. We'll find out how I go. But all of the tick spraying and the pesticides, the weed, the Japanese beetles, the trees, they put in a little fruit tree farm area in that subdivision right next to me. I've been wondering about what's going to be sprayed on that. We have our wells, our water, our resources. And I don't want to be the stop all the building now, but that's the only thing. I don't even see an uptick. I see a stop. I see both hands out like, all right, stop. Now think. What are you doing? For the turtles, one of my landlords has this really, really long driveway on Little Noack Path. And I made signs. I made actual signs, and they're on the driveway. Just because there's so many workers coming in and service people coming in, and there are turtles. I'm constantly stopping and crossing these little turtles that travel. They've been traveling back and forth forever, and you have to slow the people down. But they don't know about not letting the dogs on, the beach for the geese. They don't know about slow down for the turtles. They don't know. And I'm going to go with they don't know because most people are kind. Most people want to do the right thing by the animals, but they really don't know. And in this uptick of education, of cell phone, the constant distractions, they're not thinking about it, and the kids aren't thinking about it at all. And that's what I keep returning to worry about. We know because we're here, but there's only really a handful of us in here right now, and we're so that's bad. Like, we need to spread the information more and more and thoroughly, and speakers like Jill, newspapers report, this is what should be reported on, this is what should be out there, that this is such important information.
I see what you mean. You're a terrible communicator.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you really don't. You don't present yourself well.
No, I know.
That's it.
I know.
Yeah.
You're talking about the proposed horse farm right here.
Yeah, let me get you the microphone, Joe.
No, right, Christine, that horse farm going in. And I remember I was in contract on that horse farm years ago, and the neighbors around killed my deal because they didn't want to smell horse manure. Meanwhile, they put up how many houses and look what they're doing to the land, but they killed my deal to have an agricultural reserve and horse pastures because of horse manure and the smell. What does that tell you about our society? Like, they should embrace that. That, for me, it's wonderful perfume, And yet they will build how many houses, and what's happening to our water and our land and our environment. It's insane that in this day and age, with people out here and the wealth and the knowledge we have, that we're dealing with this. And that's exactly what
you don't want any more animals being closed, no more horses being closed out of areas. That's for sure. Horses need to be, but it needs to be, we need to also honor our laws. Where property rights are bought off of a property, then that shouldn't be altered. And how many people it takes to take care of horses. Let me see. Oh, that's right. I have no employees.
But I'm curious. I'm curious, Christine. When we talk about agricultural reserves that are set aside as part of the subdivision process, could some of those properties be pastures that you could use rather than having them sit fallow?
Absolutely. The only thing a horse needs is water, electric. My horses have more clothes than Madonna. I cross the line with the free nature, horses don't need blankets. They are heavily blanketed. I cannot help it. And, they have a little 10 by 12 shed. They go in and out. Horses need buddies. They're herd animals, so you have two. And that's it. And as long as you don't overload the acreage, Lumber Lane property is spectacular. I don't seed it. I drag it. It is not fertilized. It is not sprayed. It is not chemicalized. It is not. We use all natural fly spray on the horses in the summer. It is a beautiful scene to come into the Hamptons and look out across a big open field. It's especially nice if Steven has his horse has out, which it's very funny because one of them jumps over his little fence and he's out, and the only horse there on 30 acres. You know, and in a little shed where you stand, like, that's a spectacular view as opposed to across from my horses on Deerfield Road, where that 33-acre piece got bought. That was agricultural. Martyrs picked it up, but that's where all the local dumpsters for the horse farms, manure and stuff, actually gets composted and turned, and that gets a very interesting smell. But visually, you have no open space. We were supposed to keep the open space, and the privet and the trees. And I love, if I lived long enough, I would do a tree rescue. I love trees. But the trees and these tree farms, all of a sudden, you have no open space. It's not there. We need our open space.
I wondered if that's just an opportunity to use some of the agricultural preserves that are just sitting there, that might be an opportunity to...
The land was being protected to farm. Some of the land cannot be farmed.
Right.
Like across the street from it. But if it can't be farmed because of nematodes or whatever, they don't phase horses. Horses are not a problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful discussion. Barbara Fair. I'm wondering whether there is an opportunity for entities like the Horse Rescue to look at the Community Preservation Fund, its legislation, and the acquisitions that are being made with that money. What could otherwise be happening with the land that's acquired in that manner? I don't know. My other question or statement has to do with something I brought up and was laughed at for, so go ahead and laugh. I'm in favor of clearing restrictions, restricting the amount of lawn lot coverage that people are allowed to develop. Then that means, more clearing restrictions, more trees in most cases, and native habitat. But that addresses or attempts to address the issue of the forever chemicals. So those two things are in my mind. They are legislative kinds of things, and it probably would take a heavy lift to get any change made in either of those areas. But they seem like opportunities to me. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Gentleman here, did you? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say my other part of my question was...
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say my other part of my question was, what if we used actual natural, local, indigenous trees, bushes, grasses? Doesn't that help with reduction in pesticides, fertilizers? Yeah. People just don't do it. People just plant what they see in the magazines rather than what should be growing in my region.
That's fair. There is a place here to have a conversation about the native grasses and
And if the pesticides were gone, there'd be more insects. If there are more insects, there are more birds. If there are more birds, it just goes all the way up. We were at this conference, and I don't know, do you remember the numbers? They talked about a third of the birds that migrate are gone in the past 10 years. 30% of migrating birds. And the insect count is even more dramatic. It's like 45% less. So and that is pesticides.
Pretty soon it's going to be humans.
Over?
It's already humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just on that topic, I'm Myers Bartlett again from Southampton. Dandelions. They're the first food of the bees. It used to be back, I think it was in the 1800s, wealthy people coveted dandelions. I read about the history of them because when I found out how important they are, when you see one, make a wish, blow those seeds around because the pesticides just destroy them. And the minute oh my God, that's a weed, that's their first food. They can't make it till the flowers come out in June otherwise. So just on that note, wanted to say that.
Hi, my name is Christina. I'm a volunteer with the Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Center. I've been volunteering since this summer, and I have to say I'm utterly exhausted, but in a good way. And I realized, I look at my friends, I say, I can't do this alone. We can't do this alone. And yes, donations are great, but it really starts with education, and not with education from our generation. We have to educate the younger people, and by doing so, we have to set an example. So, for example, rats are extremely important in our ecosystem. They actually keep disease away. They are important they're important food for other animals. So we may call animals pests. I see these trucks, pest control. These are not pests. These are vital for our survival as well. So we have to look at the big picture, change our language. We're afraid of snakes. We're afraid of mice. We hate rats, all of that. Keep it to yourself. Don't put it on this younger generation of kids. Let their instincts set in. Let them be fascinated by wild animals. Don't say, oh, this is bad. Oh, you're afraid of snakes. Oh, well, snakes are actually cool. This is actually how they work in nature. Educate the kids, because they have a huge platform online that can spread way faster than we can at, for example, meetings like this. So I think that has to start. Around the world, we're all about exploiting all kinds of animals, even those who say, I love animals. Well, no, you love certain animals. So we have to change the way we teach our kids to respect. I'm all for eating less animals, I think we say we love animals and we sit and eat them, so that's another issue. But we have to really look at how we speak to the younger generation, how we act. I'm turning my front lawn. It was all grass because we rented it out. I am changing it completely, letting it grow. My husband's going to have a fit, but too bad. No, because it's so important. I have so much wildlife from the freeze. I've had ducks, I have a groundhog, I have fox. I live in Quag, and it's phenomenal. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to make homes for all these animals, because my neighbor doesn't. They have lights on all night. Our fireflies are going to be extinct in about a year because of our pollutants and because of light. We have too much light on around our homes at night. Everything needs to be dark. Humans need darkness for our health, and so does the wildlife. So every little bit helps, I think. Don't squish that spider. Slowly bring it outside. Just do it quietly, and let all of that, just go the way it's supposed to go. Let nature be the way it's supposed to be, because we all have to live here all together, from the deer to the turtles to all the insects. These deer on the side of the road, I can't, we're helpless. And it's because we're not letting them roam. They have nowhere to go. I walked a half a mile through the snow to get to a swan, and I followed the deer prints because that was the only access I had, and I felt what they were feeling. Said this is the only area they have in this area to roam, this 1/2 acre property, and it mortified me. These poor animals dodging us. It's really sad. So I think speaking to friends, hey, we're going home after dinner, slow down. Don't forget there are deer on the road. You don't care about the deer, care about your car. You're going to get hit. You're going So little things like that I think are really going to help. If you can speak up as much as possible to your friends, to their kids, and just really appreciate nature. Take a stop, look at it, look what's around you. What kind of trees do you have? What kind of birds do you have? So there you go.
Before you hand the microphone over, I want to hear a story or two about your rescues. What kind of animals have you rescued as a volunteer?
Okay, before all the geese that are sick and spinning in circles and heads are bobbing around.
Give me a rundown of the animals that you've rescued.
Groundhog, lots of swans. Oh, the swans are great. Once you're not afraid of them, they're really magnificent, right? We love swans. I love them all. I brought on the falcon last night, hawks. What else have I done? Oh, ducks. The little tiny mergurzas, the little black and white ones that are just so sweet. The
ruddies.
The little ruddies, yeah, the bufflehead, yes. A mouse. Poison, but you know what? I was not going to let him sit in my driveway, So I went to my crawl space, and my previous owner had poison down there, so I get rid of that. But any animal suffering is just horrible. So yes, I will now stop on the side of a road, especially for an opossum, because I know they can have babies this time of year. I will stop when an animal's been hit, check if it's alive. What else do I? Seagulls. Turkeys, not easy to catch. I usually call in this one and say I need help. It's hard. It's hard when you're alone. It's sprinting. It's running. It's because you have to potentially jump on the animal, but carefully. You don't want to hurt it. So yes, I have a trainer I work out with to make sure I'm in shape for this. But it's extremely satisfying.
So anyone who wants to join her, please call us.
Yes, please.
We do rescue classes. Ryan is our rescue teacher, and we do rescue classes about every month to 6 weeks, and we can always use more people to help.
I live with a person who followed this path. My wife became a rescuer. And she loved it. And actually, it was really interesting because her first rescue, before she was a volunteer, was along up in Bridgehampton when
It was one of those pheasants.
when the pheasants were still being hunted there. One of them got out and was walking along the turnpike, and she made me stop. And she got out, and I have a great photo of her, and she brought it to the center, and that was the start of her volunteer career. She became a volunteer rescuer after that. So that's why I wanted to ask. It's definitely a labor of love for the people who do it. Once you start doing it, she was just absolutely enthralled with, as you said, very satisfying.
Absolutely. And if you're not sure you want to do it, you can call and say, hey, I'd like to accompany someone to watch and see how it's done and see if it's something you're interested in or just see how it's done. But it's fascinating, so I love it.
It's great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If I could speak one more time.
Absolutely.
Sorry, it's having the microphone, the opportunities.
That's what it's there for.
Two things I wanted to bring up. One was lighting. The lights. One of the houses that now adjoins one of my horses' fields up in Watermill, Deerfield, it looks like the Carnival Cruise Line at night. The lights never go out, ever, never. And there have to be 300, literally, lights on. So studies are showing that the birds, they're losing their migratory, paths because the lights are all they're messing. Again, it's education, but it's education that needs some follow-up. It's not a suggestion. This is something that just should not be allowed. If you need 300 lights on your house, there's something wrong with you. And you're never there. They're not there. I'm there. I know. I could be there. They wouldn't know. I'm there. So that's one thing I wanted to bring up. And the second, and I am as patriotic as you could possibly be, but fireworks, enough. Fireworks on July 4th are one thing. I'm not going to argue it. I'd love to. I won't do it. We have our independence, but beyond that, I have a neighbor now at Deerfield that has just traumatized my horses repeatedly, and I call the police. I have the police on speed dial, and it doesn't matter. By the time they show up, fireworks are off, the horse is traumatized. That's getting old. All of this building, and we're being pushed in. Our horses are being pushed in, closer and closer and closer, like all the other wildlife.
I think a lot of dog owners would agree with you as well.
Yeah, but to add in the fireworks, to add in these ridiculous screaming parties and nonstop, it's one thing, but fireworks then on top of that is absolutely ludicrous. And there's a lot of money. There's a lot of fireworks. It can go on and on and on. And that's something that needs to be addressed and addressed and addressed, like the balloons that keep ending up in my horse fields. So, we all want to be responsible, but it only takes one to not be responsible to kill an animal that is precious to somebody. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've sacrificed my entire life to take care of these horses. Believe me, I will walk in front of a train for any one of my horses. So when damage is done, that's stupid. This kind of thing shouldn't happen. It's getting very, very upsetting with the increase in fire. And there's been an increase in fireworks in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So that's, again, something that giving you the platform to...
Great point.
Put it out there.
Kim Franchino, before we end the event, I've got to point to a story that was in the New York Times this past week that said dog ownership is actually healthy and actually lets you live a longer life. And we shouldn't leave this gathering before we talk about the real benefits of companion animals, and it shouldn't get lost in our conversation. And they can really be life-changing, and I've seen it myself with lots of folks who adopt dogs, cats, other animals, and their entire life changes, right? That's
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're totally right. I'm sure every one of us here agrees with that sentiment. But adopting an animal can really help, mental health. It can help you feel supported. We have a lot of adopters that come in looking for something like that in their life. And volunteering and fostering is a good way if you can't have an animal. We have a ton of volunteers at our shelter that can't have animals of their own, so that's why they come. Same thing with fosters. Sometimes you're just not able to adopt at the moment, which is why it's so important. But yes, absolutely. Dogs and cats can be beneficial to your health. And it's beneficial to keep them out of the shelters for their own mental health. But yeah, absolutely. It can decrease your stress levels. It can make you feel not alone if you're having mental health struggles. So it's a great way to help another and also help yourself.
Kim, and Teri, do your organizations, are you seeing adoptions at the same rates that you used to? Or are they going up? Are they going down?
Yeah, our shelter has definitely seen a decrease in adoptions, and we have definitely seen an increase in surrender requests. Like I said before, a lot of them have to do with financial constraints, or someone, has to move to a home that's no longer pet friendly, which a lot of times could be financial as well, like they're downsizing or moving to an apartment that might be cheaper. So we have, we've seen that our animals have also been staying in the shelter longer than in the past. Even just animals who are like puppies or super adoptable adults, small dogs, animals that used to go out really, really fast. Now they're staying a lot longer.
Terry, sorry, Kim, go ahead. Is that what you're seeing too?
I would have to agree with that a little bit. I feel like it's on an uptick now a little bit with cats, but
yeah, I agree.
It's been slow with dogs. I feel like everything's increasing a little bit because I think the weather's getting nicer and people are not like secluding themselves in their house, just like, watching TV.
Kim, what are you seeing at ARF?
The surrenders due to medical issues, whether it be the family members who have medical issues or the animals themselves, but it's the delay in reaching out to us. You have incredible resources here. Reach out earlier. We can help with behavioral challenges, with medical challenges, and try and keep your animal at home. Because, ARF is a beautiful, happy place. It's still a shelter. It's still traumatic for an animal to go from a home environment into a shelter. So anything we can do to help with that, we want to do.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing for Bideawee. We will provide behavioral support if you need behavior support. We will try to provide food if you're having trouble with that. And medically, we can also try and see if there's any way we can help before you have to surrender an animal.
We're almost out of time. I want to give each of you a chance. Is there any last thing?
One final.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sorry. So I just had a question, kind of following up about the education. I think it's really important. A lot of young people don't fully understand what's going on with animal wildlife or just animal welfare in general. And I rescued my first animal when I was 7. It was a crow that got stuck in my dad's car when he was driving home. So I've always been in it and inundated with it. But a lot of kids now, in social media, there's so many different things to focus on. And I was just wondering if you guys had any stories about educating in a wider net with the younger generations and how it worked and if it was successful.
Good question.
Hi, it's Chris Nichols speaking from the Southampton Animal Shelter. We've just launched a campaign called Furry Friends in the Hampton Elementary School. It's a pilot program that we're doing, which is responsible for fundraising, but not just raising money. It's about humane education. So we have a designated humane education person now that will be going into those schools. It's a pilot program that we're intending on rolling out across all 6 schools. To your exact point, it has to start, with that humane education. So we presented it to 550 kids, and they're busily off raising money, but also they need to visit the shelter. They need to understand humane education. We have our humane education coordinator actually there today doing pet guardianship. So it is an education program. The youth of today are the adopters of tomorrow. So I'm really passionate about this project. I think the pilot already is going really well, and we hope to roll that out across all 6 schools across the Southampton area. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Good answer. Definitely. Before we end, does anybody have a last thought that they would like people to know about your organization? Something that, this is a last opportunity to sort of get the word out if there's something you'd like to tell people? Anything specific?
We need your financial support.
Is that true across the board, maybe? I'm thinking maybe.
We all need your financial support.
Yeah. So maybe we'll figure out a way to put links up so that if anybody wants to support your organizations, they can click on a link and send donations. Everybody in the room, I hope, will join me in thanking our entire panel for being here today. Thank you to folks here at Union Burger. Thank you to WLIW. Thank you to our sponsors. We have a couple more Express Sessions events. I don't think they'll be as fun as this one. Thank you all for being part of it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.